All right, let's dive right into a story that, honestly, we all really need to hear. Today's explainer is a timeless look at destiny, wealth, and the true value of a single meal. This isn't just some old fable. It's actually a super powerful look at how quickly our circumstances can flip overnight and how our everyday choices ripple out into the real world. So let's start with a question. What is the actual true price of the food we casually throw away without a second thought? It's a heavy question, right? In a world where wild excess and extreme desperation are basically living side by side, answering this means we have to look at what happens when incredible wealth collides with desperate need.
Part 1. The Burden of Poverty.
To really grasp how systemic poverty works, we have to start with Ramesh and his daughter Meena. Ramesh is a hard-working cobbler who slips in the heavy rain and fractures his leg. Now, for a lot of us, that's a painful inconvenience, sure. But for a family living in severe poverty, it's literally a catastrophic event. Suddenly, their household has zero income, no safety net, nothing. Young Meena, seeing her dad in pain, is completely forced to abandon her childhood on the spot and step up as the sole provider. She ends up getting a job doing domestic work for the wealthy village head, Ramlal, who, get this, only hires her because he knows he can severely underpay her. It perfectly captures just how vulnerable families at the edge really are. And just look at this stark comparison here. On the left, you've got Meena's heartbreaking reality. After a grueling day, she brings home exactly 2 leftover rotis. She gives them both to her injured dad, and she goes to sleep crying, with literally nothing but water in her stomach. Meanwhile, on the right, Ramlal's son Gopal is hosting these lavish feasts. He treats food like a prop for his ego. Instead of sharing the huge amount of leftovers, he casually orders Meena to throw perfectly good, untouched food to the street dogs. It's a real punch to the gut, representing the extreme class divides in food waste we still see today. Moving to part 2, wealth, arrogance, and waste. So Gopal is basically the textbook definition of arrogance in this story. He genuinely believes that his family's bank account gives him a free pass to waste precious resources and mistreat anyone who has less than him. He treats his wealth like a license for cruelty. He's totally disconnected from the actual human effort it takes to grow, prepare, and earn that food. But here's where it gets interesting. Meena refuses to just stay silent. Seeing all this massive waste after Gopal's party, she actually pushes back. She looks at him and says, "Food is precious, we shouldn't waste it." I mean, think about the incredible courage that takes. This vulnerable, starving young girl is literally speaking truth to power, reminding him that we should only take what we need. Which brings us to part 3, an unjust dismissal. Real quick before we hit the major turning point of this explainer, if you're finding value in this breakdown, please subscribe, like, and share Silvera Nixon Toontales with your friends. It absolutely helps us keep bringing you these visual stories. Okay, getting back to the narrative, Gopal is absolutely furious that she dared to correct him. So what does he do? He completely weaponizes his power against her. When Meena tries to take the leftover food home instead of tossing it, Gopal lies to his father, framing her as a thief. It's awful. She gets fired on the spot, doesn't get a single cent of her hard-earned wages, and is left crying hopelessly on the road. It's a harsh reminder of how easily power can silence the truth and how the vulnerable are often punished just for showing basic decency. Part 4. A Ray of Hope. Just when things seem completely hopeless, empathy steps in. A local teacher spots Meena weeping on the street. And notice, she doesn't just offer empty pity, she actually does something about it. First, she gives Meena a job so she can immediately earn food for her father. Then she secures her free admission into a government school. This perfectly illustrates how targeted, compassionate action can completely alter a person's life trajectory. It's a total game changer. Let's look at part 5, the Wheel of Karma. This is where things take a massive, sudden turn. The wheel of karma spins, and Ramlal's long-standing fraudulent businesses are finally exposed. The police show up, arrest him, and the authorities seize literally all of his properties. Overnight, the arrogant Gopal goes from living in a massive mansion, tossing perfectly good food to dogs, to being completely homeless, completely alone, and desperately hungry. It's a striking, painful irony. He is now experiencing the exact same suffering he used to mock. And that brings us to the ultimate moral crossroads. Gopal is wandering the streets begging for scraps, and everyone, all his old neighbors, just reject him. And then Meena sees him. So put yourself in her shoes. When faced with a starving boy who once ruined her life, What does she do? Bring us to part 6, the final moral lesson. You might expect her to seek revenge, right? But no. Meena actually takes Gopal in and shares her own simple food with him. Gopal is so overwhelmed by her kindness, he breaks down and tearfully apologizes for how cruel he was. And Meena's response is just incredibly profound. She says, I forgave you. I fed you because I know what hunger is. Rich or poor, everyone's hunger is the same. That right there, that is the absolute core of the story. True wealth isn't in a bank account. It's in your capacity for empathy. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the absolute moral of the story. Never let arrogance blind you to the value of food or the suffering of others, because the wheel of karma touches us all. So ask yourself, how will you value your next meal and the people around you? Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this one. Catch you next time.